Disagree.
Again, totally agree.
Agree. Agree.
Agree.
Disagree, because I think that both waterfall, that is, long-term, at certain moments during a year planning, and at the same time, direct, real-time customer interaction marketing can very well stay together.
Well, I agree. Agile marketing is about continuous improvement. It's about facts and figures. It's more tech-driven, but it's also more user-centric.
I completely agree. Because all marketing programs are very unconventional, unlike an IT program. There are three things that a marketing program looks for. Number one, speed and agility. Number two, involvement of what we call as multidisciplinary teams, because you need to have the creative teams, the IT teams, the business. And the most important thing, the last one, is the incremental demonstration of the output. All this can only be achieved by an agile way of working.
Welcome back. As you've probably guessed, we're going to talk about agile marketing. And with me are Sankar Venkatraman, who works at Wipro, and you're the global client partner of Philips. We're going to talk about Philips as a case. And Lonneke Vink from Philips was supposed to be here, but she got stuck in the gruesome Amsterdam traffic, which is something that if you're watching live, you won't be bothered with, because you can just look at your laptop and see us, and you don't have to hop on a cab. But we have John Watton, the email marketing director of Adobe here. Thanks so much, John, for
no problem. You're welcome.
For being here. Sankar, we just saw you in the video. You're part of the expert panel. Thanks for sharing your insights, not just here, but also on the videos. Pleasure. And you stress the importance of speed and agility in marketing. Why are they so important?
Just as I said, most of the marketing programs are very atypical as compared to any of the other IT programs, because marketing programs require three things. One, speed with which you deliver things, the intensity of collaboration with the various stakeholders. It could be the creative, it could be the business, it could be IT, it could be testing. So the intensity of collaboration has to be really high. And most importantly, the scope for continuous improvement also is very high. So if you want to achieve all the three things at the same time, Agile is the only way, because your waterfall does not allow you to achieve all these three things at the same time.
Right.
In Philips, one of the things, the most important basic requirements in Philips was how can you show continuous results over a predictable period of time. So every 2 weeks, we were supposed to show something back to the business. And we could achieve that only by the agile way of working.
Okay, we're going to talk about Philips more later. But first, John, do you see in the marketing industry that people are really adopting this agile marketing strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a combination of understanding where the customer kind of requirements are going, and also being pulled by those requirements as well. So there's a push and a pull. I think generally the age of kind of as Sankar was saying, the kind of waterfall in marketing, doing these kind of campaigns, thinking about a campaign, agonizing over 3 months, getting everything really perfect, launching it, waiting 6 months to see results. That's kind of gone away. Why? Because consumers now more and more want a consistent and continuous experience. So we've been drawn into this sort of 24/7 world. And as marketers, we can't afford to have these kind of batch approaches. We've got to be sort of always on. So absolutely, yeah.
Let's have a short break.
Great time to grab a cup of coffee or get comfortable in a seat or the stair seats over in the left side of the room. Up on the screens, we're about to start showing the Symposium TV that's been going on already for a half hour. If you've been watching on your small screen, perfect chance to watch it on our big screen. And if you have friends or colleagues that couldn't get a ticket to today, send them a text. Tell them that A, you're cooler than they are, and B, they can watch at home.
Well, yeah, so as you can probably tell, we're about to start with the stage event, but not before we've talked about agile marketing, and specifically how you can integrate it in your company, because, well, as you said, Sankar, it has to be something that is woven throughout the whole company, right? It can't be just a marketing division. How do you convince the whole company to join in? How did that work at Philips?
So first and foremost, this requires an institutional drive. This cannot be a very project-specific drive. So Agile has to be embraced, adopted, and encouraged by an organization. So from a Wipro point of view, even though we are a very conventional IT company which were following the waterfall model, but off late, because of the demands from the customer, so we have seen a significant change in our own delivery model. So now we are more aligned towards an agile way of working. The whole organization structure is also kind of undergoing a lot of change.
Okay.
So we are able to now create career path for people who are going to work in the agile way. For example, Scrum Masters, Scrum of Scrums, so on and so forth. So there's a fundamental change in the way now we are working from a delivery point of view. So this is an organizational-wide initiative, and it's just not an account, or maybe we cannot just do it only for a particular account.
Right.
Hence, you're able to see a good amount of traction and a good amount of adoption in the agile ways of working.
So how did that work at Philips? Did you just roll out the whole strategy at once, or did you start with an agile marketing experiment?
So in Philips, things were a little different.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that every single program had adopted Agile. So we also have to be a little careful in proposing the Agile ways of working. It will be a success. It will really be very beneficial in an area where the customer wants to see significant improvements, constant improvements, and a predictable way of delivery. So only those projects will be a good candidate for the agile ways of working.
Okay.
So within Philips, we only chose a select few projects.
Can you give an example?
For example, the entire digital transformation was on agile, right?
Okay.
And we also pushed the envelope to a little further extent. We also have implemented SAP in an agile way of working in Philips. So that was an extreme kind of an example.
Right.
But the digital transformation, I would say, was the best candidate for our agile transformation. So it has worked significantly well, and we continue to deliver results at the speed with which Philips is looking for.
Okay.
So to me, it is working extremely well.
And John, do you have advice on how you can convince other people within the company who are not just working at marketing on adopting this strategy?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think from our experience, there are some things I like is that not a lot has changed. You should prove out things in a small way, show their return, and then build the case from there. So a lot of the marketing initiatives that we get involved in, we start quite small, make it very focused, very targeted. And of course, in the sort of digital world now, you could be testing and learning much more rapidly than you could in the past. So keep it small. Have an objective. Understand the ROI, then take it from there, because it is a case of scaling up those requirements, getting funding, more resources, which these things always need at some point in any company.
But I can imagine you have to really act like an evangelist and show the data. Like, this is our first experiment, it's working, here's the data.
Well, I think in marketing, what it's always been about is this blend of kind of art and science. So, very often you're trying to build emotional connections, experiences with customers. There's a very emotive thing, but also you need the data to back that up. And I think we're in a great time in marketing where we can blend the two, with technology being there to give you that measurement. And marketers still always have that capability to express creativity, but you can show the results.
Right, and that's the main data, I guess, like the analytics, like the number of views, number of interactions. But I guess a good agile marketing strategy also involves like customer feedback to a campaign or to a product, and working with that. How can you value the customer interaction? How can you let people within the organization know how customers are responding online?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I can talk from our experiences how we run our marketing. We're able to look at all the touch points and actually do an attribution of value to that for our own purposes to understand how they play, and then we use that to understand the mix of our marketing activities. And the other thing I'd say as well is, of course, in the digital world, we're getting much more information around what customers like, don't like, what they prefer, down to a very personalized level. So that gives us the ability to really build something which is building that relevant personal experience. And I guess it's the same with Philips and your experience, Sankar, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Philips customer and I'm using your product, and then I'm posting a review or responding to a marketing campaign. How will it end up at the desk of the people working at Philips and have to decide on the marketing campaigns? process that information?
So I think one of the fundamental thing what Philips did really extremely well was beyond reaching out to the customer, what we call as defining the customer journey, they also really spent a lot of effort and time in strategizing on hearing the customer, so getting the customer insight. So the fundamental transformation or the philosophy of transformation for Philips was to move away from a product-centric company into a customer-centric company, which means you got to really keep listening to the customer, you got to understand the customer's needs, and you got to be really understanding the insight on a real-time basis. So and Adobe really played a significant role out there in what we call as the social listening and making inference out of the data which was collected and and converting that into an insight for the marketing department to take an action. So there were many examples, where the customer's feedback had actually translated into a better marketing campaign.
Can you give one example?
There was the noodle maker. Okay, for example, the noodle maker in one part of the world became almost like a Bruges maker in another part of the world. So they were, based on the feedback came from the customers with a very minor tweak on the product. Now it was we were able to actually serve a different kind of a segment, completely different kind of segment across the world. So these are classic examples how the customer insights really can help the campaign more effective.
Okay, and I can imagine a lot of people are watching now and thinking, yes, I should implement this agile marketing strategy as well. Why haven't I got around it yet? John, what would be your most important advice for people who are within their company and thinking, yes, I should bring this to my well, so we should really become more agile?
Well, I think the first thing is, it is a journey. It's not going to be something that's going to be solved overnight. Right. So again, from my point of view, if it's something really new to the business, you need to incubate that idea by building up a small team around a small idea and taking from there. There are brands like Philips and and Adobe and other brands, huge organizations with lots of stakeholders. It takes some time. So I think the first is don't beat yourself up if this doesn't happen overnight. Okay. It takes months and not years, but start small with a small team, incubate an idea, and then take it from there.
Okay, Shankar?
I completely agree with John. I think it is a very iterative process, right? And it is a very indulging process. You can't change things overnight.
Because how long have you been working with Philips on this?
It's almost about 4 years now. So since the time Philips embarked on this transformation journey in about early 2012, we have been working as a strategic IT partner for transforming their digital journey. So it was in very small baby steps that we started working. And we actually worked as a bridge between the creative and the IT. Because many a times what the creative team wants has to be translated to a very meaningful specification, and that is what we did in small pieces, and then now it has really grown really big.
Great. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your insights on agile marketing. I'm sure people at home can implement this.
Thank you.
And they should be patient. Thanks for that.
Exactly.
For that, because I can imagine it can be quite stressful to just want to implement it right now, but it should take time. 4.5 years maybe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.